Good evening to the board, superintendent. Is there any questions that I may entertain you with dealing with student services today?
All right, and yes, Ms. McKenzie?
Mr. McKnight, do you remember me asking questions earlier this year about what teachers could do to prevent altercation happening in schools?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, on or about the 20th of this month, I heard that there was a fight at school. The teacher was informed and did nothing back.
The 20th of this month?
Somewhere in that vicinity.
Well, with the 20th of the month, if there was a fight dealing with school, the answer of your questions is we started to zero on teachers that may have classroom management skills and we're going to provide them with professional development.
All right, I don't want us to wait around here and have a shooting at our students because somebody's not paying attention to what the students say. Anytime somebody comes with a threat towards them, it should be looked into, not brushed off. This has made you mad. You don't be mad with me.
I don't want to give them words.
So somebody needs to do something about these things happening in our schools.
All right.
Mr. Darby.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
question is centered around the same thing. The same as Ms. Lindsay. At the beginning of the year, I had asked specifically what training the teachers would have to ensure that instruction went on every day bell to bell. With that being said, instruction cannot take place if kids are not in order and with manners, not just not over disruptive, but they need to be attentive to what the teacher is saying. And I'm getting calls from parents that they're not completely in order for the teacher to instruct.
Okay, to answer that question is, dealing with the teachers within the classroom, stated before that the kids, that the teachers would be provided, and they have been provided with classroom management skills. With management skills deals with teaching on task from time to time. What the new teachers, we try to, or we do, inform them of procedures or what to, how to proceed with a disgruntled student. I also provide a de-escalation professional development for administrators and teachers that teach them or show them how to handle disgruntled students. I also have another one planned, and I know it's in April, doing a half-a-day schedule, but I do it periodically during the school year.
And I guess my other part, you may not be able to answer, it may be answered collectively somewhere else, is can there be an ongoing training of teachers, ongoing training of teachers? That's all. And it's not necessarily for an answer now, but I just feel as though there needs to be an ongoing training. There'll be a lot of teachers who may not know how to de-escalate situations.
I look into that training.
All right, anybody else? Thank you. All right, you can stay up for 8. School safety.
Yes, I wanted to inform the district that prior at the last meeting, I told you we was going to do some training with our faculty and staff to address the safety of our students. Currently, last week we had the active shooter training, which was conducted by Williamsburg County Sheriff Department. All teachers and staff and administrators was trained. We did the C. Murray, Greenville area last week, March 20th. We did the Hemingway area schools last week, Thursday, March 22nd. And we're currently scheduled for King Street Senior High, King Street area schools tomorrow, which will be March 27th. And during the training, the Sheriff Department went through a brief history, spoke about what to expect during active shooter training, procedures to take when active shooter is present, and inform the staff and administration of what to expect when law enforcement arrive and what not to do. And I believe that that was very beneficial to it. Currently during the school year, we have several drills, as lockouts dealing with the school, with the students in particular, on what to do within a lockout in the school. That's what I have for school safety.
Madam Superintendent, you want to elaborate on that?
Yes, sir. We are definitely increasing the amount of school safety activities due to the recent school shooting. And we want parents to know and feel that the schools are safe for their children. Teachers have been provided with safety, a review of the steps in the crisis management manual, and we are putting all of those tips and processes in place. We certainly encourage parents to continue to talk with their children and students about school safety, and they have been very cooperative in letting us know at the district if there are any safety issues that we need to address. So we ask that parents continue to do that and know that safety is our top priority.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
There's something going about with Bishop Cooper about metal detectors in the school. There was a program or something like that.
That was a couple of years ago, but that was kind of shot down through some other avenue. So we never received the funding to receive those metal detectors for school districts.
But maybe that should be brought back up, because I do believe we need some metal detectors now in our schools.
Yes, currently, Reverend Henry, we do have, we don't have to walk through metal detectors, but each school is providing a hand-worn metal detector for each school. And I stated before that I will be purchasing extra ones before the next school year so they can have an abundance number, whatever they're needed. But as of right now, each school does have one. They do have one.
Right? Yes, ma'am.
If a teacher ignores a child telling them about something that happened, what's going to happen to that teacher? Anything or nothing?
The administration.
Well, that's a question for the
Maybe I need to rephrase it. Is there anything that can be done so these teachers will have to answer to what happens to these children if they don't?
Madam Superintendent, that was that question.
When we talk with principals, we encourage them to continue to visit and revisit the student handbook, which tells teachers the procedures for addressing discipline, and it also outlines what students' rights are in terms of how teachers handle students. So we encourage principals to keep revisiting that student handbook. It will help alleviate a lot of the problems that children or students are facing. However, the discipline of the classroom, student discipline belongs to that classroom teacher. When it is not handled properly, then the next step is the principal and up the chain. If it's not handled properly at the school level, then we have a district disciplinary committee that hears all of the concerns if they are not addressed properly. Any teacher that does not follow the proper procedures for handling student discipline can be dealt with by the principal.
All right. Any other questions?
Just have one, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
On the school safety and trainings that the sheriff department is conducting, are these mandatory trainings for teachers or
Yes.
main staff? Who's invited for it?
teachers and staff, all principal or to have their staff to attend, all which I have signatures. I make sure they sign a signatures or sheet, which is being kept at the district office as well as at the school.
So it was mandatory for all
Yes.
teachers.
I just have one more question.
Yes?
So we may need to go to the superintendent as well. We do not have money for additional bonds at this time?
We have money, as I stated, I was
I
purchasing.
say at this time, you said next year. That's why I'm asking.
Well, I'm purchasing them now for them to come, well, they say, well, they will have them, but for sure they will have them next year. But to answer your question, I do have money to purchase them now. I'm just going through the process of the paperwork.
And I'm only asking because you know the springtime of the year is sprung.
Yes,
And kids are a little different in the spring.
I agree.
So I'm just asking so that we can expedite it if it's at all possible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right? Yes, sir.
Just one more thing, the sheriff's office would appreciate them doing this. Is it possible, Mr. Chairman, to have just a formal letter of appreciation and thanks to the sheriff department for conducting this training for us, signed by board members?
Sure. We'll do that. All right, that's not a problem. That's a good thing to do. Good to show people your appreciation. All right, we will do that. All right, thank you, Brother McNally.
Welcome.
Did we get any new buses anymore?
Currently, we suppose I was speaking to the representative for South Carolina. It's in the process of getting, we are in the process of receiving at least 11 new school buses by June. I was waiting for a closer date so I could tell you the exact time, but we are in the range of receiving new buses.
Chairman,
I want to ask, what about the maintenance and the upkeep of our buses and the conditions of our buses? Now, are they delaying classes or, school in the morning or afternoon?
You talk about the state-owned buses. They are, and they are having mechanical issues, and that's one of the reasons why the state is doing an overhaul of all the transit buses due to mechanical problems that they're having.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Dr. McKnight, these new 11 buses that are coming in, they're seatbelt, they should
No, sir.
come
They have,
with camera.
with the cameras, what I will be doing is taking the cameras. I have a district mechanic. He will be taking the cameras off the buses that we already utilized from the State Department. Before they ship them off, he'll put those cameras on the new buses.
All right. Thank you, my brother, very highly. Thank all that you do for the district. Thank you. Action items. SCAGO, Educational Facilities Corporation Trust Resolution. Attached for consideration by the board is a resolution authorizing $9.4 million general obligation bonds in the fall 2018 SCAGO Gold Program. Attorney Fannie Heisen of McNair Law Firm and Mr. Bob Damon of Compass Municipal Advisor will address questions and concerns relative to the SCAGO Educational Facilities Cooperation Trust Resolution. All right. Anybody want to?
Yes, we have Attorney Franny Heiser and Mr. Bob Dameron. They're going to give you just a brief synopsis of the information that was reported to the board's budget committee meeting held today at 5 o'clock. And if there are any other concerns, they're here to answer.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Mr. Chair, members of the board, it's great to be with you all this evening. You do have for consideration tonight your resolution that would authorize issuing not to exceed $4 million of general obligation bonds. This is a step that y'all have taken annually since probably at least 2006. The purpose of these bonds will be to make payments due on other forms of debt, and should produce for the school district approximately $370,000 of revenue by May of this year for capital projects this summer. And I'm going to ask Mr. Dameron, who's your financial advisor, just to briefly mention the financing and what this will mean for your taxpayers. And then if you have any questions about the resolution, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is the same as it has been in the past. It's sized so that it does not have a tax increase. In other words, it maintains the 44 mills of debt service that's been on the books for the last couple of years. And it would continue that in the tax year of 18-19. This does make, as Ms. Hodges said, the bond payments on the other loans that you all have, so that they come out of debt service millage as opposed to coming out of general obligation or general operations millage. That millage is capped, as you know, under Act 388, so this is the best way for the district to finance those. We will sell these bonds on April 25th. Available money that'll come out of those bonds will be available to the school district sometime in around May the 15th, maybe May the 16th, for the district to use while the children are out of school and repairing the buildings.
All right, question?
Yes, Chairman, I make a motion to set the resolution.
All right, before we have a question.
Yes, I can't call your name right now.
Yeah, Ms. Heiser, Franny Heiser.
Yes.
Yes.
We met, well, a few years back. I think you came in and did a bond for us for the energy, on the roofing and.
That all performance bonding, yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. How did that work out? I mean, how, is it still in effect or?
I think that is, that's the 2000, isn't that the QZAB?
Yes.
That is, yes, sir, yes, sir. That is still in effect. You know, there were two parts to that transaction, really. The financing part that we worked with y'all on, and I think that has worked out very well. It was a very low interest loan and really allowed y'all to re-roof a facility that was very much needed at a very low interest rate. I'm honestly not sure that the performance contracting part of that, where you were supposed to either save money or get money back, that was a different part of the transaction, and I'm not sure that was ever 100% successful, but I know that the financing was, and Mr. Dameron and I were actually just talking about that. That debt will be repaid in 2022. So we are now, who would have thought so many years ago, and now we're about 4 years away from that transaction paying off. And I'll let Bob mention an idea that his team members have come up with, that we may be able to restructure part of that transaction and save the school district some money as you get to the very last payment. Bob?
Yeah, we monitor the school's investments, and the QSABs work in a manner that when you make a payment, it goes into an interest-bearing account. As you know, interest-bearing rates are now going up. We've had some all-time low rates, so we're monitoring those. We believe, based on analysis that we've done, that we'll be able to change those investment policies that are within that. You don't have to do anything. It's just we're going to do it on the side to make sure that those investments are yielding the maximum that the law will allow. And given that indication, it could be as much as a savings of $300,000 in the last payment in 2022. So we are monitoring that. We have a firm called AMBAC that makes sure that we don't exceed the amount of interest earnings, but as the interest rates begin to rise, the savings, that interest payments that you get for having money invested in these funds also are finally beginning to rise a little bit. And so we'll be able to reinvest those funds for you and hopefully save you over between now and 2022 about $300,000. So we're in the process of finalizing that.
So this present bond we have now won't increase tax for our citizens?
No, sir. This resolution is sized specifically to the 44 mills that is existing debt service on the current tax bill.
Thank you.
Now, I will mention one last thing is that this time next year, instead of 370, it'll probably be more than that because two of your bonds will pay off this year. So as they pay off, then that's going to give you the flexibility to increase the amount project fund money and maintain the 44 mills, that figure could be up to about $700,000 this time next year because those old bonds will pay off with this cycle.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to accept this resolution.
It's been seconded. Motion made by Mr. Lee and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion carries. Next.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Letters B and C, if I have permission of the board to read those two together. Seabury High School senior class has requested a field trip to Orlando, Florida to participate in the Great Grand Pack at Universal Studios, the Universal Islands of Adventure, April 20th to 22nd, 2018. Students will leave Greeville at 4 p.m. on April 20th, 2018, and return at 7 p.m. on April 22nd, 2018. Students will be transported on charter buses. The teacher-student ratio has been met. The administration recommends approval. Hemingway High School field trip request. Hemingway High School senior class has requested a field trip to Orlando, Florida to participate in Grand Bash at Universal Studios and Universal Islands of Adventure, April 20th to 22nd, 2018. Students will leave Hemingway at 1 a.m. on April 20th, 2018 and return at 7 p.m. on April 22nd, 2018. Students will be transported on charter buses. Liability information attached on both of these. The teacher-student ratio has been met. The administration recommends approval. Any questions on that? All right. Bearing no question, need a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the administration recommendation.
There's been a motion made by Bishop Cooper, seconded by Ms. Dorsey. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, the motion carries. Letter D, request to waive school closing due to inclement weather. Williamsburg County School District experienced 5 inclement weather days. Hurricane Irma, September 11th and 12th, 2017. Then a winter blizzard, January 4th, 5th, and 8th, 2018. The school district operated on December 20th, 2017, February 19th, 2018, will operate on March 30th, 2018, as makeup days for 3 of the 5 missed days. South Carolina Code of Law 59-1425 states that all districts must set aside 3 days in the annual academic calendar to be used as makeup days. The first 3 days missed due to snow, extreme weather disruptions must be made up. If more than 3 days are missed, the local school board of trustees, by a majority vote, may waive no more than 3 days. The administration is requesting the board waive 2 days, January 5th and 8th, 2018. And our superintendent will elaborate on the school closing.
Thank you. You have in your handbook a copy of the calendar which shows the 3 days that have been set aside as inclement, as makeup days for inclement weather, December 20th, February 19th, and March 30th. And we're asking the board to waive the additional 2 days as expressed in your correspondence.
All right, there were some questions about Good Friday.
Friday, March 30th is designated in the calendar as a makeup day. If we didn't have the makeup day, then it would be a no school day.
Okay. Questions on that?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'll address it. I know, can we revisit that as being one of the days for the next calendar year?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's requested teachers.
All right, any other questions? All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
these 2 days
contract for 190 days, 180 days. Their
I'm just
contract,
asking, but anyway, thank you.
There's another side to look at that. When there's other days, some parents can't go to work. They gotta stay home with their children, and they're not getting paid. It should be something that they get paid if there's a day out of school. How about that? If they don't go to work, they get paid. The school doesn't pay them.
Yes, sir. Representative Ray?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that those days of absence due to health conditions be accepted.
All right. It's been seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. The ayes have it, the motion carries.
No.
One no. All right, let the record show 1 day. All right. Now, letter E, the textbook adoption request. Madam Superintendent, I'll let you
yes,
handle
sir.
that.
You have the textbook committee met, and they reviewed various textbooks and are submitting the following textbooks and materials for the 2018-2019 school year. These textbooks are on the state's textbook adoption list, and we are asking for your approval.
All right. Questions on the textbook? And you know, textbook adoptions have to be approved by the local school boards. Any questions on these books?
I have one question.
Yes?
To Mr. Rock, will all of the courses align with the textbook we offer at all three of the high schools?
I'm going to defer that to Ms. Cumbie. Ms. Cumbie.
What was the question?
Will all of the courses aligned to the textbooks being adopted be offered at all three high schools?
That depends on staffing. For instance, in some schools we do not offer Spanish 3. But we have to get a textbook, we offer it at all. So that depends entirely on staffing.
Okay. And that's the reason for me asking, because try to keep it as uniform as possible. That's a question for another session.
Well, I will also say this, because all is not lost. I mean, those students who are eligible to take Spanish 3 and would like to take it who don't have a teacher also have access to the virtual school. So it's, they can take Spanish 3 if they want to. It might not be the face-to-face instruction, but the virtual school has a South Carolina certified teacher and follows the South Carolina curriculum. So.
All right. Thank you. All right. Will we approve the textbooks yet? We have none? All right. Need a motion to that effect?
When we adopted textbook recommendations for 2018-2019.
All right. Been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.